joined by the author of the report and Stellenbosch University's lecturer in general linguistics, Dr. Michelle White. Dr. White, good morning and thank you very much for your time. This research that this report rather that you've just done is solely based on some research that you've been doing. Just before we get into what you found, was this a national type of study?
No, it was looking at one specific school in the Cape Town area. So I spent a year looking at the children's progress in their grade R here,
okay,
so their first year of school.
All right, so what did you find overall?
Well, I looked at two specific things. I looked at how their English developed during that year, so how they learned English, and I also looked at something called working memory skills. So this is like a short-term memory kind of skill. These are things that you need in order to do maths later in school and in order to learn how to read. So I looked at this and I found that although the children's English wasn't as good as the English-speaking children, I found that their working memory was actually exactly the same.
Okay, now what does that tell us then about the capability or capacity of those children who come from non-English speaking homes in able to grasp important concepts at school?
Yeah, this means that they will have no setbacks in the realm of working memory or later on to do calculations and things. The only thing that may be stopping them is their English knowledge. So now we know that this is a skill that is separate from their English knowledge, which is very important to find out.
What kind of assessments did you do?
So for the English, we did vocabulary testing, we did a bit of grammar testing, and we did something called semantics and pragmatics. So that's how you use language in a certain social context. And then we did, the working memory was tested with a block task where you have to remember the pattern that blocks were in. And then there was another memory task where you had to identify the shape which was different, and then you had to remember its position.
Yeah. We hear a lot about, in our education, about the importance of English literacy, numeracy in terms of counting skills and calculations. From your study, I mean, what can we learn from here? What should the people who are making education policy and schools really take from this in order to apply to make sure that no learner is disadvantaged?
I think the most important thing to take away from this is that if a child is struggling, it may be because their first language is simply not the language that they're being taught in. So their struggles may be coming from that more than because they're struggling with the academic atmosphere and with doing tasks that require a certain level of cognitive skills. So we can say that these children can be helped perhaps just with some extra English lessons, and that they don't have to be lagging behind their peers.
So you could offer, make sure there's a focus on the language itself rather than then say they don't have any cognitive ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Are you planning to continue this study that you've done, or this is it for you?
I would love to continue what this study was looking at, and I'd love to do it with more children all over the country, and I would start as soon as I get the opportunity.
Okay, Dr. White, we wish you well. Thank you very much for sharing some of the findings from that school, showing that the fact that you come from a non-English speaking home does not mean that you can't grasp the cognitive stuff at school. So teachers and schools must focus on really skilling those kids English language as a language.